Hello, I want to talk to you today about the Roland FP-30X versus some other keyboards such as the Kawai ES120, which I owned before this one, and the Nord Electro 4, which I had before that. That was the first stage piano I had. Then the Kawai, now this, the Roland. And these, by the way, are Beyerdynamic DT770 Pros, the 80 ohm version, 770 Pros, Beyerdynamics, and they've lasted me already about 7 or 8 years. And I changed the ear cups on them recently, and so yeah, they're great as well. Really good sound, and this really shines with studio headphones. So I think this with this, these with these with this is a great combo. Really get the best of the sound out of it, because the sounds on here are really fantastic. I've got the reverb up and the brilliance up, normally just 2. They call reverb ambience on here though. Hopefully this will help you make a choice if you're between several pianos, like I was for a long time. This is the best one I've had so far, seriously. The action is really, really good. The action on this is sort of weighted like an acoustic, is the best way to describe it, and it's kind of quite accurate. You'll never get the best, you'll never get the best of both worlds, really. In terms of, you can't fully get an acoustic action in a, I mean maybe the really high end one does it, but then you're going to spend thousands, right? This comes in a sort of reasonable price, 700 to 800 US, maybe £500 there around. Just like, I got it slightly under that on a deal, but I'm in Thailand, so I found it online for I think around 450 English pounds. And yeah, just take a listen to it. Here's the Rhodes sound, the first one. I'll play some blues in C. It's got that crunchiness, right? Really nice sound. And so on. That's my favourite sound. If I want to do some practice on this, I'll often go straight to that Rhodes. The second one is a whirly sound, which I do use sometimes. For example, if I've performed with this piano a few times on stage, and I used to play Smooth Operator a lot. on. Smooth operator. Alright, there's great organ sounds. As I said, the action, I mentioned the action, I really like it. It works with Rhodes, piano, organ, you know. Sorry if that's much louder. The organ patches, that's one flaw, I would say. On all stage pianos, the organ patches are much louder. So turn down a little bit when you play organ. And even still, it seems very loud. But let's go back to piano and put it on piano 1 and get the volume back to there. Sorry, piano. That's one other thing as well, if we're going to critique it. It's hard to get the volume exactly where you want it because it's got the clicky buttons. So I would prefer a volume knob. Much easier to just turn it up, turn it down, get it where you want. This is a little bit harder to get what you want out of it. But I'm supposed to be comparing it to other pianos, so that's enough playing for now. I wanted to talk about how this is very simple interface. So critiques aside, I mentioned the patch volumes and the volume knobs there. Apart from that, this is very, very easy to see. Okay, I'll move the camera down slightly. These buttons light up and there are only 4, 8, plus 5, 12, 13, easy maths. There is 13 buttons on here. Let's check it again. Yes, 13 buttons. Okay, so you've got your power button, 2 volume up and down. Again, wish that was just a rotary knob, but then maybe that's easier to break if you're transporting it to gigs. These flat, flush, almost buttons, plasticky, are less easy to break, kind of, I guess you could say that. Then you've got your function button, which you hold down to change your key touch, reverb and stuff like that. You can transpose the instrument very easily there. The controls are just so simple, and these buttons light up, so if you're on stage you can see what's selected. Yeah, after that, piano, boom, got your pianos. There's not that many of them, but they're all really nice sounding. Here's one of the uprights. You know, really nice. My head is slightly cut off now, so let's bring the camera back up. Okay, yeah, all the sounds are really, really good, and there's not that many of them, but there's enough, like 56 I think it is, and slightly more if you use the app. And the app's had some flack, you know, the app's not that good, I was slow. Okay, it loses connection sometimes, but I have used it, and it does work. And I've used it on stage, and I've been changing my settings on stage on my phone. And that's really nice too, so that's good. I hope that the app isn't broken and is still working. I'm going to test that for another video about the app. Okay, so I want to select E-pianos, well, boom, I'm in, and there's some really good ones in there, including the DX. So, DXy sounds are in there, DXy Yamaha sort of. Then you've got your other, so you've got really nice string sounds. And you can combine them very easily. So boom, I've got piano strings. On the Korg SV1, it was heavier. I still like the action, but not quite as much as this, but it's pretty good. On the SV1, yeah, I mean it's heavier, and it's sort of similar in that it's easy to operate, but this takes the cake, right? This is easier to operate than the Korg SV1. Simpler and just better, and better weight. If you can compare it to the SV2, the newer Korg, then maybe the SV2 might be better. I've played one in a store, but it's still very heavy. I did love the sort of flux capacitor looking tube amp thing that lights up. That's very unique to the Korg SV2. But yeah, I still would prefer this on the gig, mainly just for weight. But the sounds on the Korg are also very good, and the control scheme on there is not that complex. Compared to the Nords, I can use a Nord. I've used one for years and I know how they work, but I don't like the plasticky buttons. There's too many of them. It's very complex. I never really learned how to use all of the stuff on there. I just wanted my bread and butter sounds, and I just used it the way I wanted it and got what I want out of it. But I just never really took to it. I mean, and everything lights up, and it's just sort of a bit overload. I guess that's personal opinion, right? Some people love the Nords, but I also don't like the plasticky action on the Nords. They just feel like this one, like a MIDI keyboard. Obviously they're weighted, but my Nord Electro was the semi-weighted version, and I did that for portability, so I can't really blame it for that. But even the weighted ones, not my favourite. I actually much prefer the weighted action on this, as I mentioned already. Split is right here. You've got your play, fast, forward, slow for the, for your metronome. You can record songs and play and stop. You can stream straight from the speakers. Fantastic. From your phone, Bluetooth, or from your laptop. So I can literally just sit and listen to music coming out of this, and it's really loud and it's really good speakers on here. So it sort of does a two-in-one there. It doubles as like a home speaker system. Plus on stage, I don't need a monitor, like I don't need a front-facing big speaker because the speakers on this are really loud, so it was great on stage. Also other musicians on stage, say like a wedding or the jazz band I used to play in, they can actually hear the piano from the speakers on this, but also I'm going direct out to the audience as well from the PA. So that's a really cool feature. The Nord doesn't have speakers on board, so that's a downside. Neither did the Korg SV1. There are two models. There's one with speakers and one without, I believe. And I just think I had the one. Maybe I did have the one with speakers. That's why it was heavier. But I think the speakers on this are much better. So again, this one wins for me. For price, for a lot of things, and yeah, simple to use, easy to set up, not overly massively heavy, around 20 kg or thereabouts I think. It's got two headphone ports on the front, one for regular big jack with the adapter, and for the small adapter, which is genius. I don't really see that on other pianos either. Now I'm going to struggle to... Alright, get that back. So, I don't know if I've got much else to say about it other than that I've had it a couple of years and it's still the same price as it was probably when it launched. And it's worth it. It's just a really good instrument. I thought that the Nords were always a bit overpriced, even though the sounds are really good. The sounds are really good on here too, just as good in my opinion. I thought the Korg SV1, I got it used and sold it for the same price I bought it for, and it's worth it, but you've got to think about weight. And there are other Korgs as well, but I don't know of many that are really good stage pianos except for the Kronos. But that's getting quite dated and it's very heavy and really not that user-friendly to go through the screen and stuff. I've used one once, but the Kronos is a whole kettle of fish. So if you really want to go into music production and composition, I think the Kronos is better. But if you just want to do stage piano stuff, I'd say this is better. Although the Kronos offers you way more in terms of sounds, and I would like to have one day. There's the Kronos 2, really good instrument. That would be my ultimate, but not cheap and not always readily available. The latest Nords are just getting even more expensive, and I still don't really like the actions. I can play on them. It would be great to have one of maybe the older ones. I would look out for used deals on maybe the Nord Stage if you want weighted, and I would look at maybe Nord Stage 2 or 3. That's kind of the sweet spot before, and then you'd get sort of a good price hopefully on one of those. Easy to load sounds on them from the Nord site, although I don't like that the newer sounds can only be loaded onto the latest models. Like that's like Apple or something, you know? Like we're not going to update anymore. I really don't like that kind of stuff. Like why can't I get the latest sounds, you know? I bought a Nord, just let me put, and then they release an even better piano, like the latest one. Oh, it's only compatible with Nord Stage 5. Like, what? Admittedly though, they are releasing more sounds, whereas I don't know if there's any update or latest sounds for this. I'm pretty sure there were a few extra ones if you use the app though. So yeah, things to think about. I would say this is a great one. If you're a beginner, there's the FP-10, which is a step down from this. Pretty good as well, similar sounds, a few less features, and missing the audio interface, which I didn't mention, which this has got. So if you're into music production and composition at home, this comes in very handy with its onboard interface. I think that just means I don't have to plug into my Focusrite. I can plug in with USB directly into the computer. I'm not really composing much, so it doesn't really get used, but maybe one day I'll use that feature if I get back to composition. Other than that, yeah, check it out. I'll put the links below to this on the Amazon pages for America and EU, and all the other gear I'm using. Alright, I'm rambling on. I'll play you out with some blues in G. And thanks for watching Between the Keys. Let me know what you think of the Roland FP-30X compared to Nords and Korgs. Thanks for watching Between the Keys, and I shall see you next time.